Stick around until the end to see how you can win this tablet. So here's the thing, I don't sculpt very much. The last time I touched sculpting tools in Blender was close to 2 years ago, so when XPPen sent me their new tablet, I figured it was a good excuse to get back into it. I know it's not perfect, but I am pretty happy with the final product, so let's talk about my process. First, I got an idea, which was pretty easy because I decided to make an existing character. I also set a goal for myself, which was to create just the shoulders up. And I was just making this for a still render, so I wasn't planning on doing any retopology for animating. And because I knew the angle I wanted, I didn't have to put a lot of detail into the back of the head or anything like that. So it can be important to set a goal so you don't end up working more than you need to. I gathered a bunch of references and threw them into this program called PureRef. Most of the references were actually photos of the costume and makeup from behind the scenes footage because they had better light and more detail. Then I made a base mesh just out of some subdivided cubes. Working from a base mesh that is close to the shape you want can be easier than sculpting everything from a sphere. I joined all of the shapes together and remeshed them so they were all connected and ready for sculpting. At this point, I started defining all of the big shapes, so things like the head shape, the jaw, shoulders. This is similar to drawing, where people usually do some sort of underdrawing of basic shapes to use as reference, and you draw on top of them. If you start with small details and then realize like the head shape is wrong, then it's going to be a lot harder to fix, so make sure you start with big details first. I moved on to face proportions, so I was trying to place the eye sockets and cheekbones in the right spot. This is where references definitely come in handy. I'd start placing the eyes, nose, mouth, and then check the reference to see if they looked right. I was checking things like how big the eyes were compared to the head, how far apart they were from each other, how close they were to the nose, and then how big the upper lip is before reaching the mouth. Next, I placed all the vines on the neck. I used curves and the draw tool so I could draw them onto the surface. I made a simple geometry node setup to pinch the ends, so, they actually are more thick in the middle and look kind of like vines. When I got them looking okay, I joined them to the head and remeshed them. So this, I'm not entirely sure was the best idea. It probably would have been fine to keep them as separate objects. Then I started building up more face detail around the eyes, cheeks, and nose. I kept checking my references to make sure that I wasn't adding too much material and making the face look too big or lumpy. I also placed some spheres for the eyes. I was having a hard time figuring out if they were in the right spot, so I ended up moving on and coming back to it later. The nose is kind of like a skeleton nose. I was just trying to make sure it was the right size and shape compared to everything else. Again, check references. At this point, I turned the quality up and started sculpting smaller details. I felt like all of the features were close to where they should be, so I was making all the wrinkles in the face and all the little vine shapes and whatnot. This part is a lot easier when you have a tablet. Obviously you can get it done with a mouse, but being able to use pressure sensitivity is super helpful. The tablet XPPen sent me is the Artist 10 2nd generation. I already have the XPPen Artist Pro 15.6, so I knew I liked their stuff. This one is pretty similar, except it's a little smaller at 10.1 inches diagonally. It seems small, but it was comfortable to draw on, and I felt like I had plenty of space. Its small size also makes it extra portable, but there is a 12 and 16 inch version if you'd like something bigger. It comes in 4 colors, has a fully laminated anti-glare screen with minimized parallax. The screen has a nice texture to it so the stylus isn't sliding around, and is 120% sRGB wide color gamut and has 6 versatile shortcut keys. Apparently it's compatible with Android, so you can use it with your phone too. The Artist 2nd generation tablets have the new X3 Smart Chip, which is the first of its kind to be designed with a digital signal processing mechanism, resulting in the performance of the stylus being much better than most styluses on the market. It's also more sensitive. The new X3 Smart Chip accurately processes electromagnetic signals by encoding them into digital data. This change increases tenfold the sensitivity of the initial activation force, so your artwork can be produced with a featherlight stroke. It's more realistic. The X3 Smart Chip with its powerful computing ability gives the stylus an improved sensor structure. This change reduces the retraction distance to 0.6 millimeters, resulting in a steady brushstroke without wobble. This is the shortest ever retraction distance achieved by the XPPen stylus. It has improved stability. Powered by the X3 Smart Chip without the spring mechanism, the stylus performs better than any other existing XPPen stylus. It has improved durability. Thanks to the overall design of the X3 Smart Chip, the new stylus greatly optimizes the inner structure and eliminates the consumable spring components of previous designs. The new design will approximately double the lifespan of the stylus, and it has perfect performance. The X3 Smart Chip is the first of its kind to be designed with a digital signal processing mechanism, reducing all signal interference, resulting in clear, dependable lines. Anyway, I liked using it. I would recommend getting a stand for it because looking down for long periods of time can get uncomfortable, but it does have little non-slip pads on the back, so even without a stand, it's not sliding around or scratching your desk. So the lighting with this model made a huge difference. I made it so there were some pretty dark areas, and it helped hide the fact that I didn't sculpt all of the tiny details. The textures I actually did procedurally instead of texture painting. I highlighted all of the crevices with an ambient occlusion node, and then used a few noise textures to control the color, roughness, and for the bump, which also makes it look more detailed. I topped it off by adding some volumetrics to create a nice foggy background. The biggest tips I can give for sculpting are mostly about planning it out, setting a goal, using references, and then working on big details first and getting progressively smaller. I will be giving this tablet away to whoever is the winner of a Discord modeling challenge. So the theme of the challenge is monster. So model your best monster and submit it over on my Discord server. The challenge is about a month long and will end on September 1st. If you want to see all of the rules, you can come to Discord. I also have information and links in the description. As always, you can get the project file from this video on Patreon, along with early access videos, coupon codes for free products, and files that I don't share anywhere else. I also donate a portion of the profits to environmental causes each month. I'd like to thank my patrons for their support, and I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a good one.